garden tour video. So this year we had added this perennial garden. Doesn't have all perennials in it, but mostly, except for the sunflowers, which are gorgeous and very tall. That's about 6 feet right there. That one's a mammoth sunflower, so it should get a little taller, and the big giant heads, which it's almost forming. We got all sorts of things in here from, let's see, it's blue rue and some yarrow, zinnias that are just gorgeous. I love that color. And this bee balm over here. Let's go into the garden. So there's strawberries here. We planted that last year and it just came up and we forgot what it was, so oh, I think it might be hibiscus. We'll see. Some more zinnias. There's super fun pops of color. All of the annuals and vegetables I grew by seed this year, except for 3 peppers that are in here. Those aren't done by seed, just because I killed them the first time. But we got bird bath with the clematis that died like 6 times last year, so I was pretty surprised it came back this year. It's been having flowers, but they keep getting pretty eaten by something. Oh well. That one's finally got color though. This is beautiful morning glory that just finally started flowering. There's supposed to be tons of morning glory along the fence line, but they've done really wimpy. These things are really weird. I think they're called bee balm, and they have just the weirdest tall funky flowers. They smell delicious, kind of like, I don't know, like chapstick mint. This is one of the newest flowers that just opened. No idea what it is. We got a whole line of raspberries that go all the way down that we're probably going to be overwhelmed with in the next few years pulling them out. But they do have little raspberries growing on them already. Yum! And I did lots of marigolds. These are all by seed in these cinder blocks, and they're so bushy and just love it in there. They're just all over the garden to help protect. That's another mammoth sunflower. That one's only about 4 feet tall. And then the veggie garden. The first year we lived here, it was just this section. All of that back there was that big giant dirt pile. So we actually, that was that last year too, big giant dirt pile. So this is the first year we're using any of that space. And as you can tell, it's pretty fertile because things have taken there very well. But this is my onion patch, which is one of my favorite parts of the garden because I love onions. I put them in everything. As you can see, those are not all onions. That's a lot of grass because the neighbor did a cutting and the landscapers blew all this stuff, grass seeds, straight here, which I thought was bad at first, but it's turned out pretty dang good because they're kind of just living mulch on the onions. And as you can see, some of these onions are like about baseball size and they're doing really good. And I always leave a few in the ground because they flower every other year. The first year you get the bulbs for food, the second year you get flowers. Ouch, little bee just tried to hit me. And this is about, I don't know, I'd say 4.5 feet tall, these flowers, and they're like softball size, and they smell both like a flower and an onion. It's weird. There's one getting pollinated. Oh, where'd it go? Well, there's bees all over them. One of my extra tomatoes that we didn't have anything to do with, so we stuck them in pots. These are my guilty ones. I killed my pepper seeds, so I didn't have any peppers, so I caved and bought them from Walmart. These are the only starts that I bought. So there's a pretty flower there. Let's see. So behind the onions, I've got a line of green beans, which kind of blend in with the potatoes in the back. We'll put the green beans in between the onions and potatoes because they're not supposed to grow very well together, but they don't seem to care. But these green beans are super tall. Like this one's like as tall as my knee. And got pretty flowers. These over here, I haven't seen too many. Okay, no, there's some little baby green beans started. And this is all, gosh, I don't even remember what type of potato I planted, but these are all potatoes. These ones are pretty short, about, you know, as tall as my knee. And I planted these this year. Swing over here to these monstrous potatoes that I did not plant this year. These are last year's potatoes that I forgot to take out of the ground, apparently. And they went psycho. So they are almost as tall as a chain link fence, and I have had to pull them out many, many times around here because they were crowding over the zucchini and taking over, and still continue to crowd over the pumpkin and take over. So I've ripped and pulled, and we actually ended up having to tie a line around the potatoes and tie them up to the fence. And then, what, bud? Well, thank you for your apology. No more fits, please. Go play somewhere and stay out of the kitchen. You are not allowed to open the freezer. And child boy. Let's see. So we have, I planted way too many tomatoes, like I always do. We did by seeds, so once you grow them by seeds, you have a hard time throwing away the extras. But the first set of seeds that I did, they fell over off the shelf they were on, so I had to start a second round of seeds. And anyways, all the seeds got mixed up, so I have no idea what type of tomatoes I'm growing. But there's one here. These ones are a little short still. I don't know why. But one here, you can't really tell the difference between all this, but tomato, tomato, tomato in the cages. And this is a crazy marigold in the middle that is just as tall as the tomatoes and just so bushy and hasn't flowered like all my other marigolds. So I don't know why it's being weird, but it's keeping the bugs off of everything, so it works. But these flowered earlier, and they now have, where'd that baby tomato go? Here he is. There's little baby tomatoes starting finally. Yay! And I think all 3 of these have baby tomatoes. And then I have 4 tomatoes in pots. These were the extras I couldn't throw away. That one's a big giant behemoth that had to get sticked up. I have to still stake them, but they're actually, I overplanted these for fun. And they are planted with cilantro and marigolds. And that one doesn't have peppers, but that one has a pepper in it, and marigolds. And that one has 2 tomatoes and marigolds. So those pots are way too small for all what's planted in them, but they seem just fine. And I actually just fertilized some of this because there's so much growing in there. It needs help to keep it fed. More mammoth sunflowers, which we've never done before, but it's been pretty fun. These ones are all by seed directly into the ground, and then those are all by seeds that we started in containers first and brought them outside. So there's not much difference. That one's obviously the tallest. This one's like short but bulky. And these are all getting pretty tall too, over 4 feet. So I'm excited to see if we'll get any big heads or seeds. Anyways, showed those. There was a marigold there, but it got completely eaten. I've got garlic there that was planted in the spring of 2019. I don't know how to grow garlic apparently. So I'll learn this fall is when you plant them, I guess. And then some people came by and they walk their dog in the alleyway almost every day, and I offered them some of my extra starts, and they offered me 2 pumpkins that they had started by seed. And they dropped them off at my fence one day, and I planted them, and they were about, I don't know, that big. They're super tiny pumpkins. And then now they are God, I don't know, 12 feet long. Let's see. This pumpkin starts down there, and it was, you know, 3-4 inches tall, and now it goes all the way around this tomato, down through around this tomato, and it's creeping up over to the green beans and potatoes. And you can tell the difference between the plants because this pumpkin, its leaves are double colored. This pumpkin was the same size, and it starts right in the middle right there, and it's just filled in, I don't know, this 6-foot gap right here, and has been flowering like a madman. They have also escaped outside the fence. No matter how many times I pull them back in, they still escape outside the fence. They're just huge. They're massive. You wouldn't know just looking at it that that's only 2 pumpkins right there, because it takes that whole space has got to be about 10 feet by 10 feet right there. And they just fill in the whole thing. And they're kind of almost like another living mulch like the grass. They're just keeping all the weeds over there at bay and nice and shaded dirt to keep their roots cool. But the best part is we tried growing pumpkins once before, and we only got one that ended up being, you know, small or a larger softball size, like only one. And we this year now have these massive pumpkins everywhere. There's got to be at least 7-8 of these, and they're the size of my hand so far, and lots of other littler ones just everywhere. Like the one on top's twice as big as the one on the bottom there. And lots more pretty flowers down there. Gorgeous flowers everywhere. I can't even find all the pumpkins because you can't look underneath them. But there's another one, and just it's a whole little world down there. Anyways, love this section of the garden. It is filled with grasshoppers though. And there's a family of quail that live in those trees, and every other year they've been coming into my garden and munching on the grasshoppers, but this year they're being little assholes and not coming over here, so I don't know what's up. But the grasshoppers haven't seemed to do too much. The dill and the marigolds help a ton. Like these green beans were completely eaten alive. You can still see like some of them have holes, but completely like to the nubs, eaten down several times when they were little. And then I put a marigold and some dill right in the middle of them, and boom, instantly, no more getting eaten. The marigold over there though, that did suffer. You barely see it. That's just dead. More marigolds there. And then these sunflowers, same thing. So you can see, I think earwigs and stuff eat them. But I put a little dill down there, and whatever was eating the sunflower now eats the dill. So, and they have such big leaves, I don't think that those small amount of holes matter. But these grasshoppers are annoying. Just one right there. They're impossible to kill because they're too fast. So this was just the first section of the garden. That the first year we only used, I'd say 60% of this plot over here. And then last year we also used it, but not as much. Like I said, all that space is all newly planted this year. We haven't ever used that before. That was just all dirt. My favorites, the zucchini. Zucchini is amazing. Tastes delicious. This one was struggling a little bit, but it's finally caught up to its brother. And there's some gorgeous, ginormous flowers in there. And a nice good zucchini growing right there. That's about ready to pick and eat tonight. I might have that. And this one's got some gorgeous flowers too. I'm gonna need to prune these back because the bees aren't being able to find the flowers. One downfall. So this is the second part of the veggie garden over here. And we used part of this last year for the first time, so this is the second time using this section. First time doing any of that, that was all grass last year. This we used a little bit last year, or most of it. more pretty marigolds in containers. I had, let's see, radishes planted here earlier this year. Pulled them up, ate them. I put pretty flowers there just for fun. I also planted some clover just for fun because I like clover. Broccoli, that's not going to do anything, but I just leave it just because it's pretty. These are carrots, carrot flowers, super tall. They're about as tall as my waist. These were in the ground last year, grew. They've been in the ground for over an entire year and 3 months now, and they are now have big giant flowers on them. I leave them because I wasn't gonna care to pull up 2 carrots that have been in the ground for forever. And the flowers are pretty and they attract pollinators, so anytime that I have space to leave an old plant, people call it bolting and they get all upset when their plants bolt flower and they pull them up, but I just leave them because it attracts butterflies and honeybees, so just leave them. They're fine, they don't do anything. Anyways, those are 2 carrots right there. There is brand new carrots planted right here that'll come up eventually. This is one of the line of peas, and these are as tall as I am now and just absolutely filled with. I need to pick these all right after this video. There's got to be, I think there's 28, maybe 28 peas that I planted in the ground. And these just go directly in the ground, you don't start them inside. 28 I think along there, and something like 28 or 30 along the back end too. Those are all peas back there with our cool little makeshift trellises. So this is the cucumber patch. You can see there's 3 mounds on the ground. 1, 2, 3. Each mound has 3 cucumbers in it. Way too many. Last year I had, I think, 6 cucumber plants total, and it just filled this entire spot, and I just gave it away like crazy. There's way too many. But these are Market More cucumbers. These were started by seed directly in the ground. And then these over there are lemon cucumbers, and I started those inside to see the difference. And the package says no need to start inside, the ones outside catch up just as quick. And as you can see, it's very true, because those look pretty sad. These look a lot more happy. And as they get bigger, I'll pin them up to the trellis because it's easier to pick the cucumbers when they are pinned up instead of on the ground. They're sharp and pokey and become just like the pumpkins over there. More random useless broccoli that's not going to do anything. Lots of dill. As you can see, all this greenery is dill, which last year I only had dill like right here, and then it seeded and spread, and now I have dill all the way over there, there. We found some in the yard over there. I found some over there. I found some in the front yard against the gate. There's dill growing here, over there. It's just everywhere. It spreads easy, but it's like the best weed ever because it keeps all the bugs from eating your veggies. And it smells amazing, and it's delicious in so many things. You eat these flowers, and you eat their, I don't know, the vegetation stuff, the leaves, and then the flowers will seed too, and you can keep those and eat those also. So very edible. They grow well with so many other things. They help shade some of the plants in the hot sunlight, but they're not too shady where it's going to hurt the plant, and they keep bugs off of your plants. Whew, it smells like dill now. Stinks. Look how big that pea pod is. I need to eat that one right now. Mmm, crunchy. Anyways, this is a line of green beans. They're multicolored green beans. So I think there's purple, yellow, and green in here. And there's already little baby green beans everywhere. Tiny, tiny little baby green beans. And these are the purple ones. And they've got, move out of the way, gorgeous purple flowers. I love them. And their leaves are more of a purple hint to them than like the other ones. But I don't even know how many there are here. Probably 30. I don't know. There's also some that I planted in the middle of these cucumber triangles for fun, along with the ones over by the potatoes. So lots of green beans. And then I step over past more dill. And you've got the broccoli, which broccoli is really hard to grow starting in the spring here because it just gets way too hot usually. We've had a cooler spring and summer so far, so mine are hanging in there, but most aren't going to give more than a bite of broccoli. We ate this one last night. And this one is my prize broccoli. And it's good hand size now and is still growing, although it looks like as soon as broccoli starts to flower, it turns bitter and it's not very good anymore. So you have to keep them cool. Broccoli only likes the cool weather. And I've been trying hard by mulching it and keeping it super wet, and it's been working, so it's still going. I'm like, yay, and come out here and congratulate it every day. Keep growing. And last year I planted broccoli in the spring. It ended up doing nothing. It was just like this one, just sitting there with nothing. All summer, all fall, middle of winter, I think December, I came outside, because I don't do anything in my garden, I just let it go wild. Came outside and the broccoli had finally grown heads in December. So I'll leave these and see what happens, but I'm also going to plant new ones this fall because broccoli goes better in the cold, so you can plant them in the fall too. This was a bunch of radishes, and I put flowers here because they're pretty, and why not? They attract pollinators. There's a little trench right here that has new radishes growing. This is about my 4th set of radishes that I planted. And you can see them right there, just growing. People keep stepping on them though, makes me mad. And then this is a radish that is still in the ground, and I've let it go ahead and flower and seed, and it's super tall. This is about waist high, you know, 2.5, 3 feet tall. And they get these pretty, like, I don't know, yellowy or white and kind of pinkish flowers. And then after they flower, they'll get these huge seed pods that are pretty good size, and they'll be white, and you can eat those, and they're crunchy like snap peas, but they taste like radishes. So I always leave some in the ground, and again, it attracts pollinators and other fun bugs to your garden that you want. So I just leave everything to flower, it's fine. And there's, I think, 1, 2, 3 that are flowering right now. More dill in there, and then along the line of my peas, I've got carrots, which are popping up. I keep stepping on these, so I'm terrible at that, but there's carrot right there, and carrots. These are all carrot tops, so carrots take a long time to grow, and I don't really care too much for the carrots, so I just throw them in there whenever and eventually pull some up. I threw some carrot seeds in, I don't know, April 2019, and I was pulling them up April 2020, and they were still delicious. So you can just leave them in the ground. They might eventually flower like those white flowers over there, but it's fine. Another set of peas, huge peas. Look how pretty these flowers were this year. Just this gorgeous pink and reddish color. Super pretty. And just nothing but ginormous snap peas on them all over. They're just everywhere. And then my fun ginormous clover plant that I've got growing. It's just like one plant right there. And the honeybees absolutely go crazy for it. So that brings a lot of bees into the garden. And yeah, back to the perennial garden. Got the fun stuff in here. The sunflowers, raspberries, whatever those are. Blue rue, which was a random buy last year. And a gorgeous morning glory that finally opened. Yay! Did those by seeds. They've taken forever to climb up, like 1 foot. And this is my garden. It's my happy place. I'm out here about 2 hours every day. As you can see, I don't care much about the weeds. They are everywhere. But if you grow kind of like I do, just things everywhere, it kind of creates its own little environment down there, and we'll find all sorts of ladybugs and honeybees and just all sorts of things living in there, and they're just all work together, and not much has been eating any of my crops, and I don't see any issue with the weeds strangling out any of my plants, so I just pick what I can and don't care about the rest. And this is all organic. I don't use anything but the sunshine and water out here. This year is the only year that I bought an organic fertilizer strictly for the tomato pots that are planted with, that one's got 2 tomatoes in it and like 5 marigolds, so it drains a lot of the nutrients, so that's the only thing that I've used fertilizer for. The rest is just dirt, water, and sun, and thanks to my lovely friend Emily who helped me with this perennial garden this year, brought all of this stuff, all of the raspberries, everything, and mulched it all for me with some bark. That was amazing. And yeah, I absolutely love this garden. It's my super lovely spot.